Hello, I'm Dr. Bill Kyte. I'm an IETA Fellow and Honorary President of the UK Emissions Trading Group. Before I retired, I worked for E.ON, a German utility, and I was also International Climate Policy Executive at Eurelectric, the Pan-European Electricity Association. And I was also the director of the International Electricity Partnership, which focuses on climate change matters for the EU, the US, Japan, Australia, Canada, and South America electricity. So I have a fair bit of experience in these sorts of areas. I just wanted to introduce by taking three principles really. First one is why emissions trading is the best route for reducing emissions for large industrial and large emitters. Many academics and politicians say that a carbon tax is much better. That's probably because politicians know how to tax people quite easily and they don't understand other methods of doing it. In fact, in theory, emissions trading and a carbon tax should arrive at the same solution, at the same cost. However, a carbon tax does have several disadvantages in practice. The first major disadvantage is that when you fix a carbon tax, you fix the price, but you don't know the outcome, so the emissions reductions are uncertain. And secondly, that when a firm receives a carbon tax, the board is very concerned about it for 3 months, but after that it's just passed to the accountants and they just pay the price. So a carbon tax is really just paying for pollution. That's often accused for emissions trading, but emissions trading, when the cap's set, you have certainty about the emissions reductions, but you don't know what the price is. You still have to pay, but you are paying for reductions, not for pollution. So that's why emissions trading is far superior to carbon tax. The second thing I'd like to say is that when you're looking at emissions trading, and as I've set out in the introductory chapter, there are a few golden rules, and I just want to touch on two, which I think are the most important, and you need to work well with your government and regulators to try and ensure that these happen. The first one is simplicity. An emissions trading scheme works best when it's simple and is understood by everybody. And the second one is there must be as much certainty. Not perhaps certainty, but predictability, so that businesses can invest surely into the future. And I think if you achieve these two, then you will have a successful emissions trading scheme. And the third thing I'd like to look at very briefly are some of the principles which you as a company need to address when you're subject to an emissions trading scheme. There are a number I've set out in the introductory chapter, but I think there are three that are really important. The first one is to form a forum so that you can discuss issues about the design and implementation of your emissions trading scheme with your government and regulators. And I think this is very important. We formed such a scheme in the UK over 20 years ago, and it's still going, and we still discuss issues with government and regulators. The second one is you need to set up the structure of how you're going to manage emissions trading within your company. I would strongly advise that you don't set up a separate structure for this. Try and integrate the emissions trading into your normal structure so that your reporting of emissions is along similar lines to your financial reporting. Your gathering of data is along similar lines to gathering financial data. Your management is similar to the way you manage other issues. If you do this, then it is much easier, and emissions trading then becomes an integral part of your normal business. And in this way, you minimise the difficulties and the costs of an emissions trading scheme within a company. Another important issue is to make sure that everybody who is dealing with emissions trading has a well-defined job description so that there are no overlaps and so that people know what they're doing. And I think if you follow these basic rules, then you will have a very successful emissions trading scheme. The following chapters will elaborate in much more detail on some of these issues, but I think it's important to keep the principles in mind when you're dealing with emissions trading. Thank you.